Hi, Pafalvi here, and I'm really excited to bring our first podcast of the Forever Young Club to you. And I'm here with my good friend Jim Kerwin, who has been living in America for over 20 years, and he's come home to Ireland to live, and he's now helping me to set up the Forever Young Club, which is super exciting, and I'm glad actually all of you have signed up to it. Jim himself is an experienced entrepreneur. He's a lifestyle and performance coach, and he's also a speaker and an author of the best-selling book in America called The Exercise Factor. You know, it's also known as Get America Fit. And what it shows really is how to ease into the best shape of your life regardless of your age, your weight, or indeed your current fitness. And this is what the Forever Young Club is all about. Now, I hope in relation to signing up that you did get a chance to sign in and take a look at the 6 core articles that we have and the trilogy. Just huge amount of good information on that. And what I'd like to do is I'd just like to hand over to Jim, because we've been working very close on this, to explain the trilogy and in relation to the topics as well. And please do sign in, please listen, because it's all there for you. It's on the website. Jim.
Well, we're going to start with the core topics and the categories that are in the website. We'll come to the trilogy maybe in a minute. So to deal with the articles, if you go into the website and click on information, the pilot study information, and then click on articles, you will see that it's structured into 6 different parts. The 5 core topics which we've chosen are physical health, mental health, physical activity, nutrition, and of course, very close to your heart, Pat, mindset. And then the 6th category is really just a place where we can put articles that don't fit into the other 5. And we've called that the Forever Young Club. So they're there, 6 categories, and every article that we produce moving forward will go into one of those 6 categories. Now let me explain why we chose the 5 core topics that we chose, because people could ask, well, why didn't you choose sleep, for example? Well, we felt we could only choose a relatively small number, so we went for 5.
5. And I think that's initially as well. Like this can expand over the period of time.
Of course, it
just
can.
In case they're interested in the fact of the other aspects of life.
Of course it can. But to start with, we've chosen these 5. So the physical and mental health seem to go together, and it's very important, I believe, not that we're not just focusing on physical health, that we're actually taking mental health very seriously.
And especially in today's thing, as you all know out there, it's very, very important. You have to look after your mental health as well as your physical health, and lots of people haven't done that.
Yeah, and so they go together, I think, very nicely. And then physical activity and nutrition are also incredibly important. I strongly believe you can't have one without the other. You need to do both. So they were the next 2 that kind of rode up in line, and it seemed to make sense. And then the 5th one was probably the easiest one of all to choose, Pat, especially given your background, because you can't make progress on any of these other things unless you have the right mindset. It's as simple as that. So it was kind of the no-brainer to pull it all together.
Yeah, and I think with the mindset, it's very, very important that, as we get older, it's very important to have that changing mindset.
Yeah.
And all the other aspects. And this is what we're trying to achieve here. And by the way, the Forever Young Club initially started up, this is the first podcast. It started up because I met an 85-year-old with a 79-year-old girlfriend in the Himalayas. And I thought by the time you get to 85, like you'd be a geriatric. And yet I was looking at these 2 people, his 79-year-old girlfriend and himself. They were healthy, they had the proper mindset, they were doing the right diet, and they were trumping the foothills of the Himalayas for 3 months a year. And that's how we connected. So, tell us about the trilogy. It's just that we want you to avail of this. This is free for you. Jim, the trilogy.
So we were always going to start this journey talking about the Forever Young journey that everybody is really on. You know, you're on a journey right now, whether you realize it or not. The question is it a qualitative journey? And so what we want people to start thinking about is this starting your Forever Young journey. And that was, I guess, the genesis of the trilogy. And it kind of moves through some important things that we want people to, I guess, pay attention to. So the first article really zones in on the importance of getting accurate, reliable, science-based information that you can trust so that you can make really good decisions moving forward in your life. So that's really important. So that's the first article, and we'll come to each of them in turn. The second article kind of leads into this. We're living in a COVID world right now, unfortunately, but the reality is we're right in the middle of it. And so I think we need to start thinking not about how we protect ourselves, which of course is important, but are there things that we can do which would actually help us in dealing with chronic disease, and by doing so reduce our risk if we're unfortunate enough to actually get COVID-19. So that's what the second article is about. And then the third article it's really all about physical activity, and especially the importance of moving. And it links in with the 30-day moving challenge that everybody who's joined up or signed up for the pilot study will get involved in. And there's lots of evidence now about the links between physical activity and good health. And I think everybody intuitively knows that. Many of us are probably pretty good at what I call the planned exercise, which is going for a walk or a run or a bike ride or a swim or maybe going to the gym. And we tend to do that. Some of us do it 5 or 6 days a week, and some of us maybe do it a little bit less, 2 or 3 days a week. But that's kind of planned exercise. But unplanned exercise is everything else. All of the moving we do from the moment we get up in the morning to when we go to bed at night. And what's actually happened in our lifetime is that type of moving has been decimated. And we need to do something about that, because the scientific evidence is overwhelming that people who are sometimes called active couch potatoes, and an active couch potato is a person who does a lot of the planned exercise but very little of the unplanned moving. That's really dangerous. And so we need to get the balance right between exercise and moving during the day, and especially during this time where many of us are working from home.
Yeah, and I also think like that when you take it here, because like you could be looking in here and you could be 75, you could be 80. You could be 50, you could be actually under 50 even joining. The big thing with this is never too late. And the other thing is, it doesn't matter what fitness you're in. You don't have to be an elite athlete. You can be a couch potato. Like, our main emphasis on this is to get you an active, healthy, sustainable lifestyle. Yeah. And if it's a case that you're interested in that in yourself, and remember, once we get over 50, we have more years behind us than we have in front of us. Yeah. So it's very, very important to get that mindset right as well, to lead the best life that you can in relation to what you have left. And this is what the tribe and these people are all about.
And you mentioned earlier on about the book that I wrote called The Exercise Factor, but the tagline on the book is much more important than the title of the book. The tagline is ease into the best shape of your life. So ease means do it gradually and progressively, depending on where you're starting from. And that enables everybody to actually take this journey. And so it's ease into the best shape of your life regardless of your age. So we don't care what age you are. If you're in your 60s, your 70s, or even your 80s or 90s, age is not a reason why you can't do this. So age, weight is another factor. Many of us get a little bit old, put on a little bit of weight as we get older. So it doesn't matter if you are a little bit overweight. That's okay. If you're a lot overweight, that's okay too. This is for you. So what did I say? So age, weight, our current fitness level. Doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
matter.
So this is for you. It's not for athletes, actually. It's not for elite athletes. It's not for mountaineers who are climbing Everest.
Or past runners.
Oh, well, those days are long gone.
Yeah, but we still have a fantastic life ahead.
Correct.
And I think that the other side of that as well is actually to develop in the mindset, right? Like we have all the qualities. Jim and I and the team we have around us, right, okay, are super passionate about bringing this to you, because this is about legacy. For us, it's about actually instilling what we know ourselves, and I've lived with over 32 tribes around the world, and bringing the knowledge back that we are all the same no matter who we are. And so I think what we're doing from there is going into the other questions. And what you probably would like to know is these core articles. And what I do like to say to you, because we're getting lots of questions in, Jim, aren't we, about like, say, where is all the information? Now, this is a pilot study. We're asking you, we hope to roll it out to millions of people all around the world in time to come. The reason why this is a free pilot study is we want your input. We want you to see, can you feed us back what we can bring to the world with your contribution to help us develop the Forever Young Club into a tribe of people, of similar-minded thinking people all around the world. So I think what I'm going to do, because, there's different expertise here, and we have lots of other people that you will see coming on board over the podcast in the next couple of weeks, right? Okay, that are there to help you. And what I'd like you to do, Jim, is in relation to the 6 core articles we put out and the trilogy. So we'll just talk about Article 1 at the moment. I hope that you'll find this. And remember this, all you have to do is go into the website. It's there for you. Click on it. And we are there to help after that. Jim.
Right. So, the title of this article is a little bit controversial, and I admit that. And I probably chose the title to get a little bit of publicity. At the end of the day, we're starting this pilot study and we want to get some traction out there. And so the title is Sometimes the So-Called Science is Bollocks.
Bollocks?
Excuse the French.
Okay.
But it's a play on the title of a book, and that is the reality. So I'm going to explain what the key message is here, and I'll explain also where that particular title comes from. But the article highlights the difficulty in actually sourcing reliable, accurate, science-based information that you can trust. I'm sure you do too, but I continuously come across articles and books and stories and videos where the information may be a little bit dodgy and you're not always sure whether it's reliable or even science-based. And that is a real problem for people. How do you know if what you're reading is actually reliable? So 2 recent examples, and I talk about them in the article and of course in the videos as well. The first relates to a newly qualified doctor who works in Stockholm in Sweden, Sebastian Rushworth, I think his name is.
Yeah, well, you don't have to pronounce it properly. We're not going to get it anyway.
Yeah. But
Sebastian Rushworth.
But this guy he started a blog and he wrote an article where he basically explained that in his 5.5 years of training to become a doctor, he had 3 lectures on nutrition and the implications of nutrition for chronic disease. So that was the full total of his training in relation to that particularly important subject. So I found that absolutely fascinating. But what was of more concern was the fact that Sebastian, in his article, based on research that he has done, so he's kind of dived into this maybe in more detail than the actual course would normally do. What he found was what he was being taught was actually wrong. Not all of it, but some of the things that he was being taught was outdated. And has, the science has moved on and maybe what they're being taught is not. So, and it was explained in the context of a slide that his lecturer put up. So we're going to come back to that slide in a little bit, but we basically asked you guys, do you know which of the 8 items Sebastian thinks are complete nonsense, because that's how he described them. So we'll come back to that, Pat, if we can.
I think we should come back to that later.
Yeah.
And just remembering is to have an open mindset on it.
Yeah.
You know, remember there's pros and cons in everything everyone says, and this is what we're going to try to bring you, the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm from different opinions from all around the world. So, okay, let's get to Article 2.
Yeah, no, well, just continuing with Article 1, because I want to talk about Luke O'Neill's book and how we got the actual title.
Yeah.
And I want to say that I have a huge admiration for Professor Luke O'Neill. But Professor Luke O'Neill has written this book, Never Mind the Bollocks, Here's the Science. And it's actually now a best-selling book here in Ireland. It was huge.
And it's a very good book.
It was huge over Christmas. Well, it is. But I'm one of these guys, when I get a book like this, I can't even remember who gave it to me over Christmas, but somebody gave me a present of the book, and I immediately opened it up, and I go down through the contents, and I see chapter 4 is entitled, if I can find the name of it's about diet. So why do you think diets work? Something like that was the title, and I immediately was, I must go and have a look and see what Luke is saying about diet. Now, I won't go into it. You can read the book for yourself, and I actually encourage you to get the book.
By the way, that'll even make it a better seller. Get the book.
There you go. No, do. But one thing I was disappointed in at the end of this particular chapter, where he kind of summarized the whole nutrition thing. Firstly, he said diets don't work, and I agree with him on that. In the main, diets don't work.
And by the way, we will delve a lot into that in the future as well, in relation to what we're talking about diets working and diets not working.
But what he said was, eat less and exercise more. That's what you need to do. Now, I believe that's just too simplistic. If you say to somebody who maybe has an eating issue of some kind, or maybe they're overweight, to eat less, that's not going to work either. And I'm sure any of you out there who maybe feel that they could actually reduce your weight a little bit will be nodding your head and saying, that's not going to cut it. And I can tell you, given my background of expertise, to say to somebody to exercise more is just, well, to be frank, it's bollocks. So that's how I got to the title of this particular article. Sometimes the so-called science is bollocks. And I do admit that the intention here was to grab some attention, so I hope you can forgive me for doing that.
That's okay, you know what I mean? If it grabs your attention, then it grabs your attention. And as the saying goes, we will be scientifically going on all sides of this over the period. This is just the first podcast. But, you know, Jim, I just want you to explain to them what we're dealing with in Article 2.
Okay. So the second article's title is How to Decrease Your Risk If You Get COVID-19. Now, hopefully you won't. But there's a risk that you will at some stage, if not in the short term, it could be later this year, or it could be next winter. So what are you going to do if you get it? Obviously, it's important that we try and avoid getting it, and there are lots of things that you can do, and I'm not going to go through them here, but the emphasis really has tended to be to try and prevent you from getting it, whereas I think we should be really also addressing the issue of, well, what happens if you do? Is there anything that you can do? And the answer to that question, strangely enough, is yes. There is an awful lot that you can do to help your immune system, to build your defenses. And of course, the answer lies in what the Forever Young Club is all about, is having an active, healthy, sustainable lifestyle. So that's kind of it. So focusing on these issues of your physical health, your mental health, your physical activity, and your nutrition, and of course your mindset, and how you deal with issues like stress, how you sleep, hydration, meditation. There are so many things that you can do, Pat, I think that's the message.
And I think it's just not alone in COVID, it's a lifestyle we should try to adopt anyway. Like, I've had COVID myself and I came through it fairly well.
Yeah.
Some of my family actually nearly died because of COVID. And like, what you can see is a correlation in relation to the mindset even.
Yeah.
You know, people are dying of loneliness and left in places. And we will be dealing with all of that as well. But, you know, for your own information, just sign in. Look, if you're interested in this one, read Article 2.
Yeah, Article 2. And the bottom line with Article 2 really is that you have to take responsibility for your health and do everything that you can to boost your immunity, to improve your health so that you're able to fight off these diseases and push them further and further back, so that if you are eventually going to get them, it's way out there. And when you do that, you'll actually be reducing your risk if you get COVID-19. And that's really the key message. So this is really pertinent right now. We need to take action today.
And Jim, let's move on to the third article, and that's about how physical activity and moving during the day, especially if you're working from home or indeed work, right? Okay, what it's all about. So I'm going to leave Jim explain this, you know, to you.
So the title of this article is How to Manage Your Immune System by Moving All Day. So I put the emphasis in this article on the importance of moving because I think pretty much everybody understands and acknowledges the importance of what's called exercise, the planned exercise, going for a run, going for a walk. Many of us are probably walking at this stage 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. So absolutely continue that. That is really important. But what I want to emphasize and try to emphasize in this article is the importance of actually all of the moving you do the rest of the time. So let's assume you sleep for 8 hours a day, which is probably the recommended area, so somewhere in the area of 7 to 9 hours. That leaves 16 hours. So if you walk for 1 hour a day, then you have another 15 hours.
I'm laughing at this, Jim, because I only sleep 4.5, and I know like I'm an oxymoron when it comes to that.
Yeah,
but it's important to sleep.
So that moving is really important, and one of the negative byproducts of this sort of lockdown time that we're in, where people are now working from home. So they're not going into the office, so they don't get the Lewis or the bus or ride their bike or whatever in and out of work, and maybe go out at lunchtime for a break and go to the shops or whatever, go to the park and they're at home. And I you know, the little bit of anecdotal research that I've done on this subject is that people are moving less now that they're working from home, and that's made a bad situation even worse. So we're going to address this in the 30-day moving challenge, which incorporates walking, and we're going to come to this later, but really important that everybody develops this moving mindset. So they're going to be thinking not just exercise, but moving too.
And this could be for anyone like that's walking as little as 250 steps a day to those that are, you know, doing a lot. And we cater in relation to our 30-day challenge to everybody. Yeah. So like we have some people like that may be in a wheelchair, some people like, you know, even my own father, he can't actually now take, you know, 6 meters. But it's important to get all of those things about staying actively moving, whether it's standing up, sitting down, moving your legs. Yeah. So now what article were we on there? Like I'm kind of half lost at the moment because we have so much information.
I understand. We're kind of going on the fly to an extent. So we were going to go back to Sebastian's article.
Well, take us back to Sebastian, because that's a very interesting case. Yeah. And he has an opinion, but remember, for every opinion there's an opposite opinion as well. Yeah. And in what we're doing is we'll be opening up, you know, all the controversial ones, all the scientific ones that are proven, and then the controversies that are happening. Some people would even say conspiracy theories.
Yeah. So just to remind you about this, Sebastian was in his final of those 3 lectures that he had about nutrition. In the final one, just before he graduated, the lecturer put up a PowerPoint slide, and described this as your Bible. This is your Bible in relation to nutrition moving forward. And what's interesting about it is that Sebastian thinks that at least half of the 8 things that were put up there on that slide are nonsense. Now, as Pat said, and it's important to again illustrate, these are Sebastian's views based on his research. But it is curious and interesting that he'd be taught one thing in a lecture in his final year of medicine, and he would actually, from his own personal research, have a somewhat different view. So we asked you the question, can you guess or do you know which of the 8 things that Sebastian, or that were put up by the lecturer, Sebastian thinks are complete nonsense. So I'm going to go through the 8
And by the way,
things
just
now.
think about those. This is just actually stimulating your mindset. Go on, go for it.
So the first one was eat more fruit and vegetables. Now that's not too controversial. Sebastian thought that was right, and pretty much everybody agrees with that. So we're going to put that in green. That's getting a green flag, and it's one of the things Sebastian actually agreed with. The second one was eat more fish. Now, Sebastian agreed with that too, so that's getting a green flag, but not everybody agrees with that. I mean, the vegans and vegetarians out there might think, we shouldn't be eating fish, but a majority of people probably do, so it's not that controversial. So we're now 2-0 on the score. The third one was eat more whole grain cereals. Now, this is one that not everybody agrees with, and is arguably the most controversial issue of all. And Sebastian thinks that it's nonsense. To say to people to eat more whole grain cereals is not good. That's his view. He may be right, he may be wrong. We're not going to say what we think on this, but it's getting a red flag, so it's now 2-1. The third one was to eat less sugar. And I think, well, certainly Sebastian thought that was a good idea. And we probably do too. We do too.
Well, in actual fact, I have diabetes too. Like, I'm carrying a lot of, mistakes that I've completed.
Pretty much
years.
Everybody agrees with that. We mightn't like it. I mean, most of us like a bit of sugar here and there. But we all kind of know that eating less sugar is probably a good thing. So that's another green flag, and that makes the score 3-1. The fifth one is to eat less saturated fat. Another pretty controversial topic, and there's one school of thought which says saturated fat is bad, and another school of thought says it's good. So how the hell do you know? Well, it's not easy. It's challenging. But Sebastian thinks that it's nonsense. So we're giving it a red flag, and it's a subject we'll probably come back to over the coming weeks and months. So what's the score now? 3-2, 3 in the green corner and 2 in the red corner. Next up was eat less salt, and this is actually getting an orange flag from Sebastian because, and I understand what he's saying here, salt can actually be bad for you if you take too much of it, but it can actually be quite bad for you too if you take too little of it. So you need to have the right amount of balance of salt in your diet. So that's why it's getting an orange flag. It's neither red nor green, and that's Sebastian's view, and I think we probably share that too. So that's now 3-2-1. The next one is eat low-fat dairy. Another very controversial subject. Sebastian thinks it's nonsense. We're not going to comment, but we will come back to it. It is quite controversial. Some people think low fat is good, but there's lots of people now who think low fat is bad. So that's getting a red flag. So the score now is 3-3-1. And then the final one is to eat less meat. And again, this is a really controversial subject. Some people think it's bad to eat too much meat. And then others are saying, no, you should eat some meat. Sebastian, and Pat, you can come in there in a sec. Sebastian says, this is nonsense. You don't have to eat less meat. Now, I will make a comment that I actually think, it depends on how much meat we're talking about. I would have a view yes, meat is okay, but we shouldn't be eating too much meat. So if you're eating a lot of meat, you probably should reduce the amount of meat you're eating. If you're not eating very much meat, you could probably increase it. So, but it's a red flag for Sebastian, which makes the score 3-4-1.
Okay,
Sorry,
that's 3-4-1. But what we want to say to you is, given all the controversy, we plan to return to all of these subjects over the period, over the next couple of months. And what we're really saying is, in relation to all of this, is to keep an open mindset. You know what I mean? To actually look into it yourself. And we'll be dealing with the physical health, the nutrition, and the mindset core topics. Now, on that, Jim, let's talk about because you're also, in the pilot study, the free pilot study, we also have a 30-day challenge.
Yeah.
And as I said, this can relate to anybody, that is even taking 250 steps a day, that's actually doing 20,000 steps a day, and there's different grades. But the main thing is, at the end of it, we want you to have a better, healthy, active, sustainable lifestyle. Over to you, Jim.
Okay.
Let you go.
So I'm just going to refer to my notes so that I don't miss out anything important. So the first point, just to reiterate, is that this is a totally free 30-day moving challenge. And moving might be a little bit misleading in that it actually incorporates both walking and moving. So we want you to be walking, probably building up your walking a little bit during the 30 days, but also building up your moving during the 30 days. So we chose the term moving because we want to really focus on the importance of moving. We're going to provide comprehensive help and support with guidelines, podcasts, Q&As, whatever it will be over the 30 days, and especially at the start and in advance of it. So in the next week or so, we're probably going to really start zoning into the 30-day moving challenge, and to help you to get ready for it so you can start. Now, it's going to start let's call it for the Forever Young Club on the 13th of March. That's a Saturday. But if you can't start it on the Saturday, you can start it on the Sunday. You can do it on the Monday. You can do it at whatever time you want to do it. The most important thing is that you do it. But if we all start together on the 30th, which is a Saturday, and then continue for 30 days, we'll all finish at the same time, if you like. But you don't have to adhere to. There's no regulation which says you have to do it on that time frame. So the primary objective is focus on moving during the day and walking, and we're going to enable people to have a secondary objective, Pat. So if you, for example, want to, maybe lose a few pounds, maybe you feel you've heard just what we've said about sugar or salt or whatever it is, that you want to maybe make a few small but subtle changes in your diet, you can build that in as a secondary objective into your personal challenge. But that's an option. You don't have to do that. You could pick something to do with sleep. You could pick something to do with smoking. If you happen to be a smoker and you've been trying to stop smoking, maybe you could use the 30-day challenge to facilitate stopping smoking. I'm not saying that's easy to do, but you could if you wanted to choose that option.
And by the way, we're there to help as well during this 30 days. This is what we're excited about. We're excited about working with you.
Yeah. So we're actually our second podcast is going to really zone in on the 30-day moving challenge. So if you've any questions about the moving challenge, let us have them in advance so that we will be able to answer all of those questions that you want answered during that podcast, which will probably be in about a week or so. And I think that I've covered pretty much everything there. If I've left anything out, obviously, please ask questions.
Okay. So, let's move on. Where will we go to next after this? It's just that we're trying to get through a lot of stuff on this initial podcast.
So I think we wanted, Pat, and maybe this is one for you to talk about.
Jim,
we've been asked quite a few questions about on the website. There is an area called Founder Members. What's that all about? Where does it fit into this whole jigsaw
of the free pilot study?
How does it relate to the free pilot study? Do people have to go down that road or not? Or what are our thoughts on that?
What we're doing at the moment is a free pilot study. We're giving away, and if you value it, and if it's a case you want to join in, it's worth about €1,500. Now, the thing is, if you want to continue after that, we do have a founder membership site, which we're trying to develop to enhance this to go worldwide. And it's about picking people on it and bringing them on this journey. Now, you can find comprehensive details of the founder member benefits on the website. But, if this has nothing to do with the free pilot study, it's if you want to become a founder member. So if you want to become a founder member, After this, if you think it's good, you can go to the website patfalvey.com. You can click on the Forever Young Club. You can click on the pilot study benefits if you wish, and then click on founder members. Now, there's two types of memberships. You can pay a yearly subscription or a monthly subscription. It's actually, at the moment, it's for nothing. It's for $145 for the year, and there's lots and lots of prizes and lots of giveaways. $149.99. Okay, instead of $150. Thanks very much, Jim. As I say, there's two. There's fixed subscription and there is monthly subscription, and they all go with the standard benefits of what we're talking about there. Lots and lots more to come. It also includes the 30-day moving challenge, which is part of the free pilot study. And then there's lots of bonuses. 30-day challenge coaching. There's a 100-day leap challenge. There's a leap coaching session where you get a chance to talk to myself or Jim or one of our many coaches that we have here. And to get the 30-day coaching challenge, you should ideally become a founder member before the challenge starts.
That's to get the coaching.
Yes.
And we can't give you the coaching for the 30-day challenge after the challenge. So
yeah, it's going to end this offer to do this, and it'll stay fixed for the rest of your life in relation to subscriptions. Once we open up in America and once we're developing all of this and the rest of the world, which we have people now all around the world interested in it, you will be a founder member. And just think of the fact, right, okay, a founder member is part of creating a huge legacy worldwide. I think that's what we have for today. Now, what we really would love, if you have any questions, is just to send them in to us. You also have a phone number that you can ring us, and we will help you out. This is very important to us because we want to create a difference in the world. We hope to have 1 million or 2 million members over the next 15 years. And just to think of it, you are at the start of it, and you do have a chance to become, as well as the free pilot study, to become a founder member. Yeah. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah,
that's it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've covered enough. We'll have plenty of opportunities moving forward to answer all the questions and to sort of explain things better if we need to. So yeah, I think that's about it.
So again, what I just want to explain is what the Forever Young Club is. The Forever Young Club is a community of 50 plus, and that could be into your 90s, coming together to create a healthy, sustainable, active lifestyle, to become part of that tribe, because you are, by the way, as we get older, the average of the 5 people you hang around with. Now, you're going to be hanging around with many, many people, but there'll be small interconnections of people as well. We'll be doing seminars, we'll be running trips, we will be actually doing these type of webinars and podcasts online, and you will meet, by the way, amazing people by becoming a founder member, once the free pilot study is done. But in the meantime, stick to the free pilot study, see what it's all about. We look forward to having you in the future.
Yeah.
For me anyway, it's Pat Falvey, namaste. And by the way, what I do want to say to you in relation to your life, if you want to make it better, you have the power, and you only have the power to be the best that you can be for the rest of your life. And dream big, but remember, it's in the following of the dreams is where the success lies, and that's what we're here to do. So thank you very much. Namaste. Jim?
Cheers, yeah. Thank you, everybody.